Where does joy reside? We hear a lot about joy. And I know growing up it was always, joy was there at Christmas time, and I would hear at parties it was joyful. But I don't know if I found it deep within myself. So I want to speak to that this evening. That joy is that aspect of self-well-being, to be joyous. And I like to once again utilize a metaphor of high heart. We have our heartfulness, and when we're in love and heartfulness, we sense joy, and joy is always, it's constant, it's about our well-being, as I just mentioned, and it has no troubles, so it's a sense of ease. So many times I'll say to my daughter and to my grandkids, come from a place of high heart, not low heart. Now I know the heart's there as love, but that place of high heart resides a place where joy is always in all ways present. I think about those times in our life where we're in that low place of heart, where we're moaning or we're groaning, and I hope that's not the case for you. But for many people that is. And I sense that there's a storyteller there. And that storyteller is based on fear. It's glued together by judgment. And it talks sometimes all day long to us. It becomes our identity with the judgments. And that can certainly take us out of that place of joy. Ram Dass, who I always loved his work, he said one time that his definition of joy was that it was ecstasy, and it also was formed by agony. Now, I didn't quite understand that, but diving further into that, a lot of times that storyteller that's within us talking about judgments or we should or should not do, getting caught up in all the shoulds and should nots, that storyteller or that voice has been present there since childhood. And so to be able to recognize that and to learn from it, and this is where we move from that place of maybe what Ram Dass was talking about, joy comes from knowing that agony. Once we can be aware of the judgments, once we can be aware of even the pockets of grief in our life, and we can allow ourselves to be able to grow and change through those times, then we come to that place of ecstasy, that place of recognizing that high heart of joy itself. And I recognize also that those clouds of struggle, when we're in that movement of coming to that greater awareness, those clouds seem to part and that greater light comes forth. But we must always remember that the lessons come to us for edification. So if lessons have come to us and we're saying, oh, there's no joy, I'm in agony, edify those lessons. Learn from the lessons. And also recognize that there is no interaction anywhere. In spiritual truth, there's no interaction anywhere. There's only spiritual truth everywhere. Or we could call it Omni, meaning one. An omni action that is always, always present. So recognizing that God is love, and God is also joy. The qualities of God come forth as joy. And so if you're in that place of what I referred to or quoted Ram Dass as agony, recognize it's a lesson. It's something that has come to us to be able to lift from and to be able to see different, even in those times of deep grief. And I have had the great privilege of working with people who have had incredible experiences of grief. And I'm glad to say that being open through their work of recognizing that change is constant and that joy is always present, that they come to that place of that changelessness, that place of recognizing that life moves with a current. It moves with a sense of purpose, even in those times of seem very dark and haunting at times. So I want to leave you with that inner sense of that Omni action and just that recognition that there's no place where God is not. And that God of light, that God of wisdom, that God of love. And that joy is has no troubles, it's constant, and it is that light of gratitude. So allow your evening, allow this day, whether you're viewing this in the morning, whatever aspect of day it is, fill it with gratitude. I can't help but think about grief. And grief is emotional pain. And it's usually an emotional pain where that agony is. And that emotional pain comes to each one of us in many different ways, but in my line of work, my ministry, so many times being able to sit next to someone who's in the throes of letting go of this earthly plane and passing into the greater, or being called into a situation where there has been an incredible loss. I'm thinking about a situation many years ago. It was a loss of a child, this beautiful, beautiful child that was hurt and killed in an accident, a car accident. And I remembered as I walked into that situation, I was called to be there, that the energy was of agony. There was no joy in the room. It was filled with a lot of tears. And I remember even getting down on the floor where the father was and sitting next to him. I had nothing to say, only to hold prayer in my heart. And what I recognize from this particular situation that I will never forget, I will never forget the mom, the grandparents, and all the tears. Tears are salt of our soul, that they were coming out of that agony of an incredible loss. And change is constant. And I held in my own heart that I knew that there would be a day when that father and that mother could stand tall once again, that they could sense the sun on their shoulders, and they could celebrate their son in their hearts, and they could once again know joy. So I give thanks for those experiences that have a way of transforming into a greater realization instead of just being with the experience, but having it unfold into the greater field of life. For it is possible. I see it in my work, and I celebrate it with gratitude. So that's helped me understand Ram Dass when he said, agony and ecstasy make for joy. And so it's kind of a life process for us as we step, and sometimes our step is dancing, and sometimes it's a slow step. But that essence of life itself is joy. So be in that place of high heart, because in the high heart is a place of healing and restoration. It's a place of wholeness. So I give to you my joy.
In this moment, I recognize the power and the presence of the divine, of that creative spirit, that energy of love and compassion, that space that is all time, all space, that is filled with God, that is spirit, that is the divine moving in and through all of creation. And I honor the oneness, the unity of this experience that we call life, of all of the different things, all of the aspects, the trials and tribulations, the joys, the excitement. And in this moment, I call forth joy. I know that the experience of this life is joyous, that through everything, Spirit moves in ways that bring us to recognition of the good, of the glorious, of all of the beauty and wonder that is life here and now. And I know that in this oneness of being, we are created to experience all of God's good. For this life, this universe, this divine spirit wants for us to thrive in each and every moment, to find the best and the brightest in each day, and incorporate that into joy that sustains our lives. And I am so grateful to know this, to see this, to have no doubt that Spirit leads us, each and every one, through life and into greater circles of experience, greater circles of joy, greater circles of life. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. And so from this place of gratitude and knowing, I release this prayer into the law, knowing that it is done in our highest and best interest, for that is how it must be. It is the divine design. And so I let go, I let God, I let Spirit do what Spirit does. And so it is.